Hi, boys and girls in second grade. It's Mrs. Pecora here, back with reading Miss Daisy is Crazy. So we found out AJ does not like school, and Miss Daisy, their teacher, really doesn't know so much. So let's continue reading to see what happens in Miss Daisy is Crazy. We left off, they were, the boys thought about it would be a cool idea to buy the school and turn it into a video game arcade. And Miss Daisy agreed with them, but they had to go up to Ms. Cooney's office. So that's where we left off. So here we go. Miss Cooney's office is down the hall from our class. She says she's the school nurse, but personally, I think she's a spy. I'll tell you why. There's this big poster on her wall that says this. Boys and girls, do you know what that poster is? It is a seeing eye poster. Your eye doctor has one, and sometimes the school nurse has one, and that helps them determine if you need glasses or not. But AJ thinks she's a spy. Let's read on to see why he thinks so. I tried to read it, but it didn't make any sense at all. Even Andrea Young didn't know how to read the poster, and she knows everything. I think Mrs. Cooney has created a secret code, and she's using the poster to send mystery spy messages. I will have to keep an eye on her. When we walked into Mrs. Cooney's office, she had us all line up in size order. I was one of the shortest kids, so I had to stand in front of the line. Then Mrs. Cooney told us to take off our shoes. At first, I thought she didn't want us to track mud all over her office, but then she told us that she was going to weigh and measure us. Obviously, she's trying to gather information about us, because that is what spies do. My friend Billy says that the heavier you are, the smarter you are, because heavy people have bigger brains. But I think Billy just says that because he's overweight. I weighed 52 pounds. Mrs. Cooney showed us this awesome ruler she has. It is made of metal and stretches out 6 feet long. When she presses a button, the whole thing shoots into her hand and disappears like magic. That's cool. I bet she has lots of other spy tools too. She wouldn't let us play with her magic ruler, but Mrs. Cooney ran around. Oh, boys and girls, my pages are sticking again. Sorry about this. Oh, this is awful. Hold on one more second here. Oh, for Pete's sake. Oh, for Pete's sake. Here we go. Measuring everything. She showed us that the bench we were sitting on was 17 inches high. The door to her office was 30 inches across, and her foot was 12 inches long. Hey, my foot is a foot, Mrs. Cooney exclaimed. Aren't all feet feet? I asked. Some feet are less than a foot, and some feet are more than a foot, she replied. But my foot is exactly a foot. I had no idea what she was talking about. Mrs. Cooney wrapped the measuring tape around her forehead and announced, Look, my head is almost 2 feet in circumference. I knew that circumference was the distance all the way around a circle, and diameter was the distance through the middle of the circle. What's the diameter of your head, Mrs. Cooney? I asked. Everybody laughed, even though I didn't say anything funny. That would be hard to measure, but isn't measuring things fun? Mrs. Cooney asked. I wonder how much the scale weighs. Mrs. Cooney started to measure and weigh more things, but Miss Daisy said we had to get back to class. Chapter 6. What do you want to be? At the end of the day, Miss Daisy sat on the floor, and we all sat around her. She told us to talk about what we wanted to be when we grow up. I want to be a veterinarian, said Andrea Young. Does anyone know what the word veterinarian means? Asked Miss Daisy. That's somebody who doesn't eat meat, said Michael Robinson. It is not, I said. That's a vegetarian. A veterinarian is somebody who fought in a war. That's a veteran, said Miss Daisy. Andrea, would you like to tell the class what a veterinarian does? A veterinarian is an animal doctor. That Andrea Young thinks she knows everything, but for once I knew she was wrong. Animals can't be doctors, I said. Everybody laughed, even though I didn't say anything funny. Miss Daisy said a veterinarian is a doctor who takes care of animals. That made a lot more sense than that dumb thing Andrea said. Emily was next, and she said she wanted to grow up and become a nurse in a hospital. Why do you want to do that? I asked. People come into hospitals all sick and injured, their arms falling off, their guts hanging out. AJ, Miss Daisy said in her serious voice. Emily got all upset and ran out of the room crying. What did I say? I asked. What do you want to be when you grow up, AJ? Miss Daisy asked. I'm going to be a famous football player, I said. Really? And why did you choose that field? Because I love football, I said. And if I was a football player, I wouldn't have to read or write or do arithmetic or go to school. My friend Billy told me that football players are really dumb. Your friend told you that? Said Miss Daisy. Yeah, Billy is really smart. He also told me that if you dig a hole deep enough, you can dig all the way to China. And if you fall in that hole, you'd fall all the way through the earth and pop right out to the other side. And you'd be moving so fast that you'd shoot all the way into outer space. Michael Robinson said that sounded cool. He decided that instead of becoming a firefighter, he wanted to become one of those hole-digging astronauts. Emily came back to the room with, oh, boys and girls, these pages, I'm so sorry. Oh, goodness. She came back to the room with the tissue. Everybody else went around in a circle saying what they wanted to be. This girl named Lindsay said she wanted to be a singer. Ryan said he wanted to be a businessman like his dad. Andrea Young said that if she couldn't be a veterinarian, she wanted to be a teacher like Miss Daisy. Then she gave Miss Daisy a big smile. I hate her. Chapter 7, Bonbons and Footballs. The next day, Miss Daisy brought in a box with ribbons on it and told us she had a surprise. What's in the box? We pleaded. It's a secret. Please. Well, okay, she said, opening the box. It's bonbons. Miss Daisy said she thought we might be able to use them for arithmetic problems so we could learn together. She put the bonbons on the table in front of the room. There must have been 20 or 30 of them. Can somebody think up an arithmetic problem using the bonbons? She asked Andrea. If you had 3 bonbons in a box, said Andrea, as she put 3 bonbons into her pencil box, and you had 3 boxes just like that, how many bonbons would you have altogether? Miss Daisy looked at Andrea's pencil box for a long time, counting in her head and on her fingers. Any dummy would know that 3 boxes with 3 bonbons in each box would equal 9 bonbons. 3 times 3 is 9. But Miss Daisy didn't seem to know that. Finally, she just opened up Andrea's pencil box. Holy cow, boys and girls, sorry. And popped 3 of the bonbons into her mouth. Who cares how many bonbons I would have, she said, as long as I get to eat some of them. Miss Daisy really needs a lot of help with her arithmetic. After she had eaten her bonbons, Miss Daisy passed out bonbons for all of us, and we had a bonbon party. Then she said that was enough arithmetic for today and asked what we wanted to talk about for the rest of our math time. Football! I shouted. Miss Daisy didn't like that I talked without raising my hand first. Personally, I don't see what raising my hand has to do with talking. I don't talk with my hands. But she did let me talk, and I told her that football is just about my favoriteest thing in the world, and I know all about it. My dad takes me to every game of the Chargers, a professional football team. Maybe you can help me, Miss Daisy said. I always wondered how long is a football field. 100 yards, I told her. Anybody knows that. Wow, that's a big field. With a field that big, how can you and your father see what's going on? My dad always tries to get us seats near the 50-yard line, I said. They're the best tickets. Why? Miss Daisy asked. Because the 50-yard line is right in the middle of the field. Does that mean that half of 100 yards would be 50 yards? She asked. Yep. I see, said Miss Daisy. So if you know there are 100 yards on a football field, do you know how many pennies there are in $1, Andrea? 100, hollered Andrea Young, just like a football field. Really? Said Miss Daisy. So if half the football field is 50 yards, how many pennies are in $50? 50, Michael Robinson shouted, because 50 is half of 100, and 50 plus 50 makes 100. And half of 50 must be 25 because 2 quarters is 50 cents, added Emily. And 4 quarters makes $1, Ryan exclaimed. And 4 quarters make a football game, too, Miss Daisy shouted, jumping. Oh, for Pete's sake, boys and girls, these pages. Jumping up and down with excitement. Wait a minute, I said. I thought you told us we were finished with arithmetic. That wasn't arithmetic, she told us. It was football. Well, okay, I said, just as long as you weren't trying to sneak arithmetic into our conversation about football. Would I do that? Miss Daisy asked, and then she winked at me. Sometimes it's hard to tell if Miss Daisy is serious or not. All right, boys and girls, we're going to stop there, so let's see what happens next in Miss Daisy is Crazy.